and intense floods, drought, and landslides associated with the impacts of climate change.
In 2010, we had to relocate and resettle about 3,000 people from Mount Elgon sub-region, Bududa district in eastern Uganda, Kiryandongo district in western Uganda, after their home villages were devastated by the landslides on March 1st, 2010.
According to President Museveni, Africa particularly is susceptible to climate change impacts, causing loss of lives and livelihoods. He said East Africa and the countries under IGAD rely heavily on natural resources that must be protected at all times.
The changing climate and weather conditions are putting our economies, our communities, agriculture, health, water supply, hydropower production, road infrastructure, and housing at more risk and making us more vulnerable. We cannot afford to take no action.
He reaffirmed commitment of African countries to the realization of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and Africa Agenda 2063.
No country can address the challenge of climate change alone. We must work together to increase adaptive capacities while minimizing the negative impacts of climate-related displacements and involuntary migration. I appeal to you to take advantage of this opportunity to further discussions on climate change and human mobility, to inform the upcoming 27th United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change Conference of the Parties, COP27, that is scheduled to take place in Egypt later this year.
President Museveni rallied delegates to protect wetlands and plant more trees in their respective countries as a measure to cushion against environmental catastrophes. He added that wetlands, forests, and open water bodies in Uganda contribute 40% of the rain the country receives, while 60% of the rain comes from the oceans.
But here, what they call swamps are actually tributaries of the River Nile. So when you grow rice in the swamp, you are committing a very big crime. And this is us, it's not the Europeans. This must stop. Therefore, by interfering with the forest, interfering with the wetlands, we ourselves are destroying 40% of the rainfall of this area. So the countries of the Great Lakes, you really need all to watch. In Uganda here, I'm having war to make sure that nobody cultivates in the wetland.
His Excellency Karuma added, the President of South Sudan, who also addressed the conference, spoke highly of measures on climate adaptation and called upon countries to devote more resources towards climate change financing. The 3-day interministerial conference also saw heads of ministerial delegations signing and adopting the Kampala Declaration on Migration, Environment, and Climate Change. It attracted high-level representatives from countries that included Burundi, Djibouti, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Egypt, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Kenya, and Rwanda. Others were Senegal, Somalia, South Sudan, Sudan, United Republic of Tanzania, and the hosts Uganda. Bernard Yiga and Dorcas Kimono, UBC News.
For the first time in 3 years, the East African Community Heads of State met physically for the 22nd Ordinary Summit for the East African Heads of State. At the summit in Arusha, Tanzania, there was a consensus by the leaders that the common market was the best way to increase intra-regional trade and spur economic growth. We have the story.
The 22nd Ordinary Summit for the EAC Heads of State that recently concluded in Arusha, Tanzania, was centered on continued cooperation, particularly to boost trade and tackling non-tariff barriers.
It was disappointing to learn that on issues of trade, we are only at 15%. The partner states are only trading at 15% with one another. Most of the trade is actually with Europe. So we made a resolution that within the next 5 years, we should increase our own trade, intra-state trade, to at least 50%.
Concerns were raised over Tanzania's extremely high international phone call rates and an appeal made to the relevant authorities to harmonize with other countries in order to ease communication.
The United Republic of Tanzania is very difficult to call. We have what we call the one area network, but they have not joined it. Consequently, if you are within Tanzania, you are charged for receiving, charged for calling. You really, actually, when we go there, we're almost off air. The cost is very, very high. So we also urge the Tanzanians to ensure that they join the one area network so that we can be able to communicate.
According to Uganda's first Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for EAC Affairs, Rebecca Kadaga, the EAC leaders saluted the outgoing Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta for his exemplary stewardship as chair of the community in the last 1 year.
We also discussed the Nairobi process, and the summit took a decision that President Uhuru Kenyatta should continue as the facilitator for the Congo process, and he was appointed under the Protocol on Peace and Security of the East African Community to continue that job even after he leaves office, and also it was agreed that a fund be set up to support his work of a facilitator.
Attending the summit as a guest of the summit, Somalia's President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud made an appeal to the EAC heads of state to have his country admitted to the bloc.
Somalia applied more than 30 years ago to join the community, but somehow after the community broke up, the campaign lost steam.
This follows over 3 decades of an unsuccessful application process. Mario Nawori and Dennis Sigowa, UBC News.
Now, after months of political anxiety, Soroti East has at last got a newly elected Member of Parliament. Herbert Ariko of the National Resistance Movement beat FDC's Moses Atan with 9,407 votes against 8,771. Ariko, who was declared winner by Soroti City Returning Officer Christine Ayu, pledged to improve the welfare of Soroti City residents. We have the details.
Rockview Primary School, Selby.
At exactly 10 minutes to 10 o'clock of Thursday evening, this announcement was made at Soroti University.
I declare Ariko Herbert Edmond Okworo, who has obtained the largest number of votes, to be the candidate for Soroti City East constituency in Soroti City.
It was a culmination of an action-packed day of 28th July 2022, which was of relevance in the history of Soroti City. NRM's Herbert Ariko reclaimed his parliamentary seat from FDC's Moses Atan, whose election was recently nullified over constituency boundaries.
We understand a group of goons went and attacked the polling station and also damaged that ballot box. We condemn in the strongest terms such conduct, which does not bode well for democracy. And we want to assure the people that any such conduct shall be dealt with in accordance with the law.
This condemnation by the Electoral Commission chairperson, Simon Byabakama, was in reference to some acts earlier in the day. One of the candidates was reported to have destroyed a ballot box at Malera, one of the areas in Soroti East. Moses Atan justified his action, claiming acts of ballot stuffing.
42 people had voted, but the ballot box had more than 400 votes. And indeed, when we took charge, you can see the turnout in Omalera B was less than 50%. The only polling stations where they managed to ballot staff is where they have had. We have all the evidence.
At the end of the day, Herbert Ariko emerged victorious, a victory that his FDC counterparts disputed.
We would like to implore our friends that the time for politicking is over. Let us focus on seeing the few gains that we can pick up for the remaining term of this government, which is about 4 years, so that Soroti can also get opportunity to benefit from the intentions of the NRM government.
And we don't come here to congratulate Ariko. He knows deep in his heart, he has had to hurt people, he has had to cause people to be arrested, he has had to put our agents on gunpoint. Aloetakum, Catholic Church, Aloetakum. Those who had been picked as my agents were taken to the regional police, Eastern Division Police Post, and taken back by Tango Doi to go and sign the DRA forms on gunpoint.
The only move is forward. We shall continue to pursue our constitutional right, to pursue our civic rights, and we will continue to tell all Ugandans that this is not the place where we want to be.
As to whether they will challenge the election results before the courts of law, only time will tell. Henry Okurut, UBC.
Now, still with the Soroti aftermath, now had it not been for internal wrangles, National Resistance Movement would have probably performed better in the just concluded Soroti East by-elections. NRM National Vice Chairperson for Eastern Uganda, Captain Mike Mukula, accuses some national leaders of masterminding contradictions that nearly cost the party victory in Soroti East. He was addressing the media at his residence in Soroti City on the by-elections that saw NRM's Herbert Ariko emerge victorious against FDC's Moses Etan. Take a look.
At the peak of the campaigns for the Soroti East parliamentary by-elections, information about internal NRM party friction surfaced on social media. Every accused and counter-accused persons remained tight-lipped over the matter. It is after successfully having these elections that NRM's vice chairperson for Eastern Uganda, Captain Mike Mukula, has broken the silence.
And I want to say, without mincing my words, that I noted that even during this time, my sister, the Vice President, Her Excellency, retired Major Jessica Lupo, was working in isolation, in silos, camped in another area, avoided getting in contact with the Secretary General, not getting in touch with the chairman of the region, not even one call, not getting in touch with the chairman of the city where the activity is taking place. She was sometimes working even with opposition.
Mukula expresses worry over a possibility of such contradictions weakening the party, describing it as a political embarrassment.
The ministers were divided. She has caused such internal contradictions in the Teso sub-region that you now have ministers who are loyal to her and others are loyal to another camp. You have members of parliament who are working with her and others who are not working for her. This is very unfortunate. You don't do this. This is not the way the party works.
This concern follows what Mukula describes as the importation of Sanjay Tana into Soroti politics, which he says was not necessary.
Sometimes you find that they brought somebody else. They brought, for me that doesn't matter. Bring in people to say that they are going to organize the campaigns in the city. What are you talking about? You bring Sanjay Tana from Tororo. You bring him here to reorganize the campaign. What are these people doing here? You have to import somebody from far away and say that the people of Teso do not have the capacity.
Mukula was flanked by former Soroti District LC5 chairperson Michael Egonyu and the just elected member of parliament for Soroti East, Herbert Ariko.
I like what somebody said. In NRM, there are bad people. And there are also good people. In FDC, it's the same. They normally tell me on this, there are only two things. You are either fat or tall.
It is not in my style to be engaged in a divisive activity. No, I will not do that. I respect everybody in their various capacities. I respect every senior person to me.
Ariko may have emerged victorious, but the election may have left the party in the area partly divided, which calls for mechanisms to restore unity. Henry Okrut, UBC.
Now, it is just 3 days into the new financial year in Uganda, and a lot of development undertakings are set for implementation as part of the manifesto of the ruling National Resistance Movement. Now, energy and road infrastructure are some of the areas of focus, with over 40 new roads earmarked for upgrade across the country. Now, with such in place, it is promising that the country could reach its desired economic destination if the NRM manifesto is anything to go by.
The oaths were taken.
I, Namganza Passis Princess, swear in the name of the Almighty God.
Promises were made.
And when they get the corrupt and evidence is there, let them be brought to book, even if it's me.
And tasks were distributed as new leadership in cabinet assumed office for a new 5-year mandate.
I, Echwero Musa Francis.
In this abridged edition of the 2021 to 2026 NRM Manifesto, pages 44 to 59 highlight development of infrastructure. These range from energy, railway, water, air and road transport infrastructure, as well as information and communications technology. 1 year later, since these commitments were made, what is there to show? Where are we and where are we going? These are some of the questions whose answers you and I are just about to find from someone who could be having a lot more information about this. Our next stop is at the office of the president. Willis Bashasha is the director Manifesto Implementation Committee. He is mindful of the fact that the first year has been for planning purposes, whose progress stands at over 90%.
Most of the whole of the first year has been largely to make sure that this is properly conceptualized and properly aligned to allow smooth implementation.
The energy sector is one of those that the current budget did not under-prioritize. Over 560 sub-counties have been connected following voltage line expansion and substation construction.
We need to add more consumers on the grid. This will definitely help in taking down the level of the cost of power. And I have seen the president advising and directing the Minister of Energy to make sure that now power should be moved probably from generation to user centers, especially when it comes to areas like industrial parks.
However, one setback remains visible. The coverage is still low despite increase in generation. What explains this is equally positive for the country.
It was not making sense to expand the coverage, to expand the national grid without having generated enough power.
This could perhaps be one of the reasons why the concentration is now on distribution to ensure success of the last-minute connection.
So now we can talk about expanding, and I know that with the current programs that we have, we shall see an improvement from the 19% coverage on the national grid and also the 38% coverage of the renewal of the mini grids or off-grid.
With such projection, revenues collected are set to benefit other sectors, including road infrastructure, whose progress across the country is equally positive. This is seen in the recent commissioning of Tirinyi, Palisakumi, and Palisa-Kamonkoli-Mbale roads. Robert Kasolo, the chairperson of the Physical Infrastructure Committee of Parliament, is also the Member of Parliament for Ikiki County in Budaka District. He explains how these road projects became a success despite compensation-related challenges.
The reason as to why the Kamonkoli-Palisa road, Palisa-Kumi is a success was simply because of the capacity of the contractor. I believe this time round, the UNRWA government, they procured the right contractor, that's the Arab contractor, who did the work diligently and with one heart.
With 1,500 kilometers of roads added to the national paved stock, others have been improved and more additions are expected.
I think many of the roads that were picked were already captured in the what we call the medium-term expenditure framework, and which were put in the manifesto. And as you can see, from time to time, we have many years, 5 years to implement these commitments. So every year, some will be picked and worked on, and then like that, and then we can be able to assess ourselves at the end of the 5 years, how many we have been able to work on.
With such infrastructure in place, the emergence of industrial parks will see value-added products easily transported to the markets. How this will reduce unemployment is one of the questions we seek answers to in our next episode. Henry Okrut, UBC.
Well, thank you, Henry Okrut. Henry Okrut is a senior journalist here at UBC, and I mean, you can tell the experience while he delves into the NRM manifesto. So watch out for part 2. UBC News Tonight definitely continues. The former Minister of State for the UK Foreign and Commonwealth, now the Deputy Chairman of Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council, Sir Hugo Swire, has urged business communities in Uganda to take advantage of the Commonwealth platform and tap into the opportunities present. Sir Hugo said that 13 trillion GDP for Commonwealth member states is a big opportunity for Ugandan businessmen to take advantage of. We have the details.
The Deputy Chairperson, Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council, Sir Hugo Swire, has urged investors and business community in Uganda to take advantage of the investment platform that the Council presents and tap into the foreign market within.
That will provide huge opportunities for those companies in that location, but also opportunities for companies in Uganda who wish to trade elsewhere within the Commonwealth, because we are an immediate platform whereby a company in Uganda wishing to export across the Commonwealth or do business with other countries within the Commonwealth will be able to do that using our facilities.
He adds that since most Commonwealth members have similar legal systems and a common language, this makes it easier for companies in a given member state to do business in the UK.
And we invite members to be strategic partners across the Commonwealth. And the basic aim of what we're trying to do is to create business between countries and companies within the Commonwealth to increase Commonwealth trade. There's something called the Commonwealth Advantage, you may have heard of, which is whereby, because of a common language and legal system, it's cheaper to a factor of about 21% for one company within a Commonwealth country to do business with another company in another Commonwealth country to that factor of 21%. That's a huge saving, and I don't think that's properly understood.
The Commonwealth boasts over $13 trillion GDP in its 56 member states, which is a great opportunity for investors.
In the Commonwealth, 56 countries now. These are not negligible statistics. These are astonishing. They all, to my way of thinking, point towards one thing, and that is the huge, still untapped possibilities and opportunities that exist for countries such as Uganda within the Commonwealth framework. We're not saying that countries such as Uganda shouldn't trade with their African partners or elsewhere across the world. Of course, they will continue to do that. But we bring something specific and something different, and I believe something which creates added value.
Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council was formed to facilitate trade and investment through 56 member states headed by Her Majesty the Queen. Sadat Mubale, UBC News.
Thank you, Saddam. Now, 13 young Ugandans have been awarded highly competitive scholarships to pursue joint master's degrees in different courses in European universities. The awardees successfully applied for the Erasmus Mundus joint master degrees in European universities.
The Erasmus Mundus Joint Master's Degrees are high-level study programs designed by International Partnership of Higher Education Institution of European Union member states to benefit both EU and Africa.
Uganda students coming to Europe. We don't have that many students coming from Africa in general and from Uganda in particular, come to study, spend the whole year in a university in Europe. So we learn from that. We pay for the program, so we want to help Ugandans also to get experience for Europe. It's two-way. It's a win-win, as I said.
13 young Ugandan students will in the coming weeks depart to various universities in Europe for a fully funded master's program. Besides enhancing human capital development, the program is also focused on bridging the skills gap in the critical sectors of Uganda's economy.
We appeal to our students to remain focused once they get out there. There are lots of things out there which may not be in our country, which might distract the attention of our learners. Our appeal is that they should remain focused.
Let these students now discover our scientific courses, but then I'll call them back and say, please also go and check out our philosophy, history, our very rich history in historical sciences, in art sciences and others. But if those that are selected this year are in science, I say congratulations, and please bring this scientific knowledge, bring it back to Uganda and develop your country.
Upon completion of their studies abroad, the awardees are expected to return home and contribute in fostering social and economic development.
The skills that I'm getting are really important here in Uganda because of the loss in forest and biodiversity. I believe that there are several opportunities which I will be able to achieve while here.
I'm going to France and I hope to improve my skills there, my techniques and my knowledge. And I'd like to come back to Uganda and also uplift people, my community.
We are so many Ugandans out here who would love to achieve higher education, but given the high cost of academic tuition in Europe, most of us can't afford. So I've actually devoted my time right now to mentor the upcoming scholars.
Through this joint program, the European universities are to benefit from the views of and background of one of the most dynamic populations of Africa, and in return, Ugandan students will be able to tap into the tools, values and knowledge from higher education in Europe. Dennis Igor and Juman Samba for UBC News.
The two-day Uganda Development Forum Annual Conference 2022 under the theme Musevenomics concluded with keen emphasis on the past, present and future of Uganda's economy. Now, the conference shared insights on the origin of ideas of Musevenomics in the economic plan of the country. Take a look.
The forum was graced by cabinet ministers, permanent secretaries, and over 200 leaders in government, civil society, academia, and the private sector.
Policy propositions that I've told you are covered in NDP 3 and NRM manifesto. We crafted a strategy for this year and the medium term, which is in the national budget, which we have started implementing in a very difficult year.
The conference focused its discussion on Musevenomics as an African economic development ideology for building a resilient and inclusive economy.
It is a political tool of the president, politically and constitutionally. It is very clear, and I remember emphasizing this to be in the opening statement of the budget.
Essence behind the Musevenomics, it is putting the write-up of the president, so he succeeded in bringing peace and security and stability in the environment that would enable investments to occur.
During discussions, government committed to design and improve on a number of policies to achieve an all-inclusive economy.
Public service has automated now our human resource management system. It's now difficult to have ghosts. Some people have tried so much to create some of these ghosts. We are going to eliminate them.
Once that are localized, in my view, you need to have some kind of a social, economic, and political strategy to deal with them. And I think that's why we are having this topic here, Musevenomics. Because I think we have looked at what has really kept Uganda where it is.
The forum discussed on directing activities, resources, and capabilities for the accelerated socio-economic transformation of the country. Government and partners agreed to work together to strengthen their capacities while enabling the environment for the increased public and private sector investment.
That as the planning authority, we look at the integration and we give you the priorities. Then we can check feasibility, you can go to rational bounds, whatever you call them, the jargons of economists, and then we see how far we can go with this. So,
Uganda Development Forum is an alliance of state and non-state actors who are working together to contribute to Uganda's socio-economic transformation. Haruna Mutesasira, reporting for UBC News at Kaumu in Nakaseke district.
The government of Uganda is committed to acquire a loan of $600 million to commence the rural electrification project. This was disclosed by the Minister for Energy and Mineral Development, Dr. Ruth Nankabirwa, while commissioning Karuma hydropower community development action plan projects in Nwoya and Chiriandongo districts.
The Uganda Electricity Generation Company Limited has committed the 2nd of October 2022 to switch on the first of 6 turbines at Karuma hydropower plant to start providing electricity to the eagerly awaiting community.
Now we are approaching the end where those non-conformances have been addressed, and like I said, come October, in November, December, we are commissioning the first 3 units. And then the other 3 units will come next year.
The commissioning of Karuma hydropower station is expected to provide surplus power to meet the country's consumption.
In talking about unreliable power, intermittent power, power outages, expensive power, with this hydropower coming on board, we are going to solve those problems.
Government is set to acquire a loan of $600 million from the World Bank to restart the electrification project to extend power lines to rural communities for easy connection.
We have negotiated with the World Bank and we have convinced them that the problem of connectivity is big and we needed more money.
UBC through Community Development Action Plan has constructed fully fledged classroom blocks to schools in project host districts of Chiriandongo and Nwoya for proper coexistence.
We commissioned Karuma from our revenue sources,
We'll have a component for corporate social responsibility, and through that we'll continue to supporting the surrounding communities of Karuma hydropower project.
The community leaders are appealing for more favors from the government, and the affected families are calling for expeditious compensation.
While this project is moving towards completion, the bigger parts of Noya district have largely remained unconsidered for electrification, as the SC3 highlighted. All they need, Honorable Minister, is the transformers.
The commissioning of Karuma hydropower station is expected to spur socio-economic transformation of these host communities. Minister Nankabra urged leaders to mobilize and tap into the pending opportunities.
Come up with enterprises which you can collect in volumes so that we can add value and then get market for you.
The 600 megawatts Karuma hydropower station has costed government approximately $1.7 billion and is set to be commissioned in a phased manner starting on the 2nd of October 2022. Its operation will spur economic transformation to the country, especially in the West Nile districts, by connecting them to the national grid. Abdul Nasili Luwama and Lydia Chomkama, UBC News.
Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs Norbert Mao has promised not to stop his criticism towards the government on the issues pertaining to Ugandans in his new appointment. Mao communicated this during the handover ceremony of this office from former Acting Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs Wilson Mululi Mukasa, and the function was held at the head offices of Justice and Constitutional Affairs Ministry in Kampala. Take a look.
All the instruments of office.
Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs Norbert Mao has officially received instruments of office. Former Acting Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs Wilson Mululi Mukasa handed over the office to incoming Minister Norbert Mao at the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs headquarters here in Kampala.
And God before us, God behind us, God in our sides, we should be able to move forward.
During the handover, Minister Wilson Mululi Mukasa highlighted on the workload that awaits Minister Norbert Mao.
Determining, formulating and implementing policy and programs of government, as well as supervising all the institutions affiliated to the ministry. Improvement in the corruption perception and democratic indices. Increased case disposal rate. We need to establish the Constitutional Review Commission. This is a key issue, and it is something that is anticipated by everybody.
Minister Mao applauded President Museveni for having given him a chance to play his role in the development of Uganda.
What we are doing is not a substitute for government. It's like a scaffolding. But if my good ideas that are in this document are not treated, I believe that that will not be the case. We will bring many of the issues that we have been quarreling about to the table.
Mao, however, added that his position will not deter him from positively criticizing the government.
I remain a leader of an opposition party, and perhaps occasionally you will hear me saying things which will make you cringe. There will not be many, it will not be daily. Because I want my energy to be focused on the work that I've been given now.
Robert Kasande, the Permanent Secretary Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, decried the challenges still faced by the ministry.
Backlog of cases in our courts. As you know, the judiciary has improved its funding, and therefore they are opening up courts all over the country. They have hired more judges. This calls for equally the office of the DPP and attorneys in this ministry to be facilitated, to increase the numbers so that we can match what the judiciary is doing.
Brother Norbert Mao, I want to pledge loyalty that we shall work with you. We work as a team, we work as a unit here, all departments. Each one is interlinked and connected to the other.
Also present at the handover was Emeritus Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Professor Ephraim Kamonto.
And indeed, you mentioned sectarianism has been a cancer in our political system. Patriotism, feeling in Uganda, in Africa country, the feeling of oneness.
Witnessing the ceremony were Minister of State for Primary Health Care Margaret Mohanga, the Director of Public Prosecutions Jane Francis Abodo,
Well, UBC News tonight takes a very short break, but we'll return with more stories. Don't move an inch.
Ni MTN Kabode Super as you pay mpola for this smartphone. Make calls, update your WhatsApp status, watch YouTube, and Google anything under the sun with 2 GB worth of data every month for 7 months. Simply make a small deposit of 99k and pay the balance mpola. You can pay in daily, weekly, or even monthly installments while you enjoy your new phone. So what are you doing today? Visit any MTN shop near you and get the MTN Kabode Super easy.
Are you a player in the tourism sector with a struggling business following the COVID pandemic? UDB, in partnership with European Union, is providing financial assistance to businesses operating in the tourism sector. You can access subsidized loan with grants, loan with a tenure of up to 5 years, free business advisory services, and free environmental impact assessment. Visit www.udbl.co.ug/call for applications to apply. Deadline for submission is 31st October 2022 at 5 p.m. For more information, please call 0414 355 509.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial *149*10# to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial *149*10*5#. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial *149*10# to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Oh, Susan, I want to propose to Rose. Yes, and this time I am serious.
Have you guys had sex?
Duh, of course.
And have you had sex without using condoms?
Hey, Nga, you're curious.
I'm more concerned. Are you having sex with other people?
Hey, hello. Is this an interview or what?
No, just things you should think about. Do you know Rose's HIV status?
Okay, this is serious. Should I be worried?
It is actually serious. Do you know your HIV status?
I think I am safe. Many times we get into situations that put us at risk of HIV. However, the first step to ending HIV is getting tested and knowing your results.
It's Time Up HIV. Call 0800-211-046 or text 8080 toll-free for more information about how to prevent HIV.
This message is brought to you by Ministry of Health with support from USAID.
The Oil and Gas Moment, brought to you by Petroleum Authority of Uganda, creating lasting value in Uganda's oil journey. The oil and gas activities in Uganda are expected to create about 160,000 new jobs. Close to 70% of these jobs will
At Timex Nutrition Center, we advise you on the right foods to eat, exercise profile to adopt, and lifestyle strategies which are compatible to your blood group and genotype. This empowers your body to prevent and treat many diseases like diabetes, blood pressure, arthritis, ulcers, obesity, and many others. For more information, find us at our head office in Kampala on Nassa Road, Conrad Plaza, 2nd floor, or call 0758 819 952 or 0778 288 361. We also have other branches in Bara and Jinja.
Welcome back from that commercial break, and now we take you to the world of business. Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Husbandry and Fisheries has allocated over 10 million euros grant to train fish farmers and adopt new technologies, among others. This was revealed by Mr. Kasu Yusuf, an official from the Agriculture Ministry, at the launch of Value Addition campaign of fish farmers in Mityana district held at Tamu Digital Fish Farm.
Government, through the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Husbandry and Fisheries, is committed to continue improve the fish farming industry in the country. In line of this, government has already allocated over 10 million euros to support fish farmers, adopt new technologies and support value addition, among others. During the official launching of Value Addition campaign for fish farmers in Mityana district held at Tamu Digital Fish Farm, Mr. Kasu Yusuf, an official from the Agriculture Ministry, advised farmers to always engage in value addition in order to attract market for their produce.
Called aquaparks. Through projects like the Pesca project promoting environmental and sustainable aquaculture in Uganda, government received a grant from the European Union to the tune of 10 million euros. Now this money is a grant which is given to the people of Uganda to develop fish farming. So the project is developing aquaparks in Kalangala and Apache, as well as promoting other things which can promote fisheries production, like training, producing new technologies, like producing new.
Mityana District Fisheries Officer Elijah Senyonjo reassured the fish farmers here of government's commitment to support them, add value to their products for easy access to markets.
Everybody, whoever has a wetland, to use it for fish farming. Don't waste it. Don't plant eucalyptus in that wetland. Please use it for fish farming because it is a good enterprise. It is not environmentally negative. It is very positive and it is economically viable.
The director, Tamu Digital Fish Farm, Moses Kabugo, appealed to government to consider fish farming industry among the enterprises in the parish development model program and also stakeholders to form cooperative societies to ease government support them.
So, musobola okubeera nga mulimu faamu 3 nga yinye eno naye nga faamu 3 ziwaniridde abantu 13 faamu 3 kati njala mumbuulireyo ekyalo kimu ekisobola okuwanirira abantu 15 nga kiri ku nga kyonna kijja ku kintu kimu mukimbulire ekirala kyawe kiri Mityana ejjudde ebintu ebifaanana bwe biti bingi kati bwe munaasuula fish farming mujja kuba mutegeeza nti kati nange nkyuke.
Brian Tumwine Byaruhanga and Salongo Kasibante, UBC News.
Now, nearly 20 million customers are to earn interest on their daily balances for the past 91 days as of April-June 2022. Now, according to Airtel officials, accounts that have been dormant for 14 months but have balances will earn interest too. Sandra Kahunde reports.
Airtel is paying interest to over 20 million accounts that include Airtel customers, franchise partners, and over 150,000 agents. The announcement was made by the Managing Director, Shafeta Ritho, who says that interest is earned by any customer who has a minimum of 1 Uganda shilling and above daily for 91 days, April to June 2022.
We are in agreement, so we are just waiting for a formal letter, and these funds could be distributed as early as tomorrow, though because we are distributing these funds to over 18 million wallets that already had balances during the period, it could take 3 to 4 days to distribute that funds because, again, we have the responsibility of ensuring that we continue to offer the services without interrupting them. So we are estimating 3 to 4 days to be able to distribute the funds.
The more daily balance the customer has, the better opportunity to share on the total interest earned by Airtel Money account with Airtel Mobile Commerce Uganda Limited, as approved by the Board of Trustees and Bank of Uganda.
And now that the funds that are in the wallet could generate some value for our dear customers, we encourage them actually to take the money that they keep under the mattresses and in the houses and put them in the system. Our encouragement is now, if they kept that fund in their business wallet, also they continue to earn interest on that money.
This follows the approval of the trustees of Airtel Mobile Commerce Uganda Limited by the regulator, Bank of Uganda, the payment of interest on quarterly balances to over 18 million customers that have an Airtel Money account with Airtel Mobile Commerce Uganda Limited. Sandra Kahunde, UBC News.
Traders in Moyo district are fearing to quit their businesses due to lack of demand for their products following increased prices of essential items. Pressure and fear have continued mounting amongst traders and business operators across the country over the shooting prices on basic and essential goods.
In Moyo district, situated in the Western region, is not different from other areas of the country as communities grapple with the skyrocketing commodity prices.
Here is too high, and because the commodities have gone high, there is scarcity in distribution. That distribution chain is dropping down because since the transport fare is too high for these people from Kampala to here.
Even though cassava flour is a common ingredient and sweetener for almost every meal in households, Joyce Angua, a cassava flour dealer and trader, says it's not business as usual.
The things have now changing, the price is high, and we are buying, we cannot getting even the profit here, and there is no customers. People are now fearing buying the things because the price is high. If the prices are like this, if you have not got the profit, which means say I will go back to home even. Selling will be difficult, and we cannot even pay the school fees. Everything will be difficult for us.
Moses Amoko, a shop attendant in Moyo Town, says since prices keep on the upward trajectory, they have adapted to getting merchandise from neighboring South Sudan, as the retail market is pocket-friendly.
Commodities you cannot buy because the price. The other day we are buying poso at 10 kilo at 15. Right now you cannot buy because from Kampala the poso you buy at 30. Here you cannot sell.
160. If we buy Uganda product, it's 185. But the product the same. You see these products made in Uganda, but they stamp here for export.
Moyo District Chairperson Williams Anyam, however, urges every citizen to take up the responsibility of tightening the grip on the cost of living rather than waiting for government to subsidize the prices.
This has impacted negatively on the quality of life of the people. There are people who go hungry, there are people who can only get a meal in a day, and coupling with the recovery process, it's a very slow recovery from the COVID-19 situation. We are all being challenged to come out of the comfort zone, and our people have to work very hard. I know there are things government can do, but there are things also government cannot do. There are things that have to be done, responsibilities that have to be played by the communities themselves, by families at household.
However, numerous factors have linked this current predicament to the Russia-Ukraine war and the impact of the global COVID-19 surge that led to closure of numerous businesses, hence low quantity in production. I'm Ivan Juko for UBC News.
At Timex Nutrition Center, we advise you on the right foods to eat, exercise profile to adopt, and lifestyle strategies which are compatible to your blood group and genotype. This empowers your body to prevent and treat many diseases like diabetes, blood pressure, arthritis, ulcers, obesity, and many others. For more information, find us at our head office in Kampala on Nassa Road, Conrad Plaza, 2nd floor, or call 0758 819 952 or 0778 288 361. We also have other branches in Bara and Jinja.
National Council for Higher Education will hold the 4th Annual Higher Education Conference on the 14th and 15th September 2022. The conference theme is Enhancement of Teaching, Learning and Assessment with Ordeal in Higher Education. The guest of honor will be the First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, Honorable Janet Kataha Museveni. The conference will be held physically at Hotel Africana for only invited guests and open to online participants via Zoom webinar that will be shared under the events section at www.unche.or.ug. The keynote speakers are Ezra Nazim, Senior Fellow of Higher Education Academy UK, Professor Henk Gerald Sola, a Dutch organizational theorist and Emeritus Professor of Business, Engineering and ICT at Groningen University, the Netherlands. The National Council for Higher Education is receiving papers from researchers and scholars for publication in the Uganda Higher Education Review, Journal of National Council for Higher Education. For more details, send inquiries to cmuhumuza@unche.org. info@unche.or.ug or call 0783 040024 or 0704 800926 plus 256 39 32 62 140/4.
A World Cup in the desert? The first one in the Middle East. The first to be held at the end of the year? That's crazy. Get ready for spectacular moves. High-flying saves. Unbelievable goals. Out of this world celebration.
Would you believe it? What a moment here!
All 64 matches live. That's over 5,000 action-packed minutes of the FIFA 2022 World Cup Qatar. Now that's crazy. Catch all the action only on SuperSport, your world of champions. On Gold TV. Love it.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial *149*10# to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial *149*10*5#. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial *149*10# to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Oh, Susan, I want to propose to Rose. Yes, and this time I am serious.
Have you guys had sex?
Duh, of course.
And have you had sex without using condoms?
Hey, Nga, you're curious.
I'm more concerned. Are you having sex with other people?
Hey, hello. Is this an interview or what?
No, just things you should think about. Do you know Rose's HIV status?
Okay, this is serious. Should I be worried?
It is actually serious. Do you know your HIV status?
I think I am safe. Many times we get into situations that put us at risk of HIV. However, the first step to ending HIV is getting tested and knowing your results.
It's Time Up HIV. Call 0800-211-046 or text 8080 toll-free for more information about how to prevent HIV.
This message is brought to you by Ministry of Health with support from USAID.
Getting a birth certificate is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Get a birth notification record stamped by a medical officer from a medical facility where the baby was born, or from a sub-county chief if the birth occurred in the community. 2. Go to the nearer offices in your area and present the notification record, a copy of the parents or guardian's national ID, and a bank payment slip of 5,000 shillings for citizens and $40 for non-citizens. 3. Apply by filing NERA Form 3 from NERA offices or download it from the NERA website www.nera.go.ug. A birth certificate will then be issued to you. Birth certificates to refugees born in Uganda are free of charge. This message is brought to you by NERA.
And now we take you into sports. After a glamorous opening ceremony at the Grandeur Alexander Stadium last night, the 2022 Commonwealth Games have witnessed action in several disciplines. Uganda was in action across the fields and I'm proud to say have registered positive news. Take a look. Now, FUFA President Moses Magogo, on behalf of FUFA, has promised the Sand Cranes a total bonus of $50,000 if they qualify for the 2022 Beach Soccer Africa Cup of Nations finals. Magogo made the remarks as he addressed players at their camp in Jeru ahead of the second and final leg game on the 7th of August 2022. Now, the Sand Cranes won their first leg game against Comoros 5-2 in Moroni last week and will play the second leg at the FUFA Technical Center in Jeru. If the team wins this match, they will automatically qualify for the Beach Soccer AFCON finals to be played in Maputo, Mozambique.
And we grab that qualification, and on 7th, by this time, we shall have qualified. Or we shall have failed to qualify. God forbid, let's qualify in the name of the Almighty. We shall, isn't it? So the Federation as Executive Committee, we have agreed the qualification bonus $2,000. Our objective is to motivate you. Is there anybody who has forced us to call you to say we are promised? Still, we should pay. The moment we achieve it, it becomes right. It does not become a favor for FUFA to give you what you are. Alright? So we come here and declare it and say, that's what it will be, let's go out and fight. And then we see what we get after. This time I want us to prepare after. Preparation. Proper preparations.
All right, now UBC News Tonight's first edition has come to an end, but do join us at 10 o'clock for this and much more stories with me, Masiiko Kazimoto. I'll see you at 10.
Yes, a very good evening to you tuned into UBC TV. We thank you so much for keeping it with us and welcome to this week's edition of UBC One-on-One with Michael Jordan Lukomwa. We choose topics that concern us in general, our families, communities, our beautiful country, Uganda, and the world at large. Now, we have all heard about human trafficking, trafficking of persons, and things like that. Uganda will join the rest of the world to commemorate the 30th of July, which is the World Day Against Trafficking in Persons. But besides, what exactly is trafficking of persons? What does it pertain? How is it a problem? How big is it as a problem? How can it be handled? And what is being done here and far to see that we get it solved totally? To make the matters worse, it is even among children. So, how can it be stopped? How big is it as a problem? That is what we're going to look at this evening. I have a guest is a World Executive Director of the Uganda Children's NGO Network. His name is Mr. Damon Wamara, and we are here to talk to him about these issues because he's among those people that really have the information that we need, particularly on this. Sir, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on the show.
How are you doing and how is everything?
I'm doing well and hoping to continue to fight for the rights of the children.
Okay.
Yeah.
How would you define trafficking of persons to somebody watching us?
When we talk about trafficking of persons, we develop, we get our definition from the Prevention of Trafficking in Persons Act of Uganda. And the Prevention of Trafficking in Persons Act defines trafficking as, as three things. One, there is the act. The act is that there is a transportation, there is harboring, there's recruitment of persons. And then there is the means, which is how was it done? Was it done by coercion? Was it done by consensus? Was it done by abuse of power? Was it done by abuse of position? And then you have for the purpose. Why was it done? And that is for one purpose, for the purpose of exploitation. So trafficking in persons is the transportation, the recruitment, the harboring of persons through coercion, abuse of power, exchange of money, for the reason or for the purpose of exploitation.
Okay. Give us a picture of the vice in as far as Uganda is concerned.
The vice of trafficking in persons exists in various ways and in various forms. Many of us have seen the whole idea of trafficking in persons with the idea of the people are kept, remember the exploitation, the reason is for servitude, whether it is domestic servitude or it is farm servitude, servants on the farm who are kept, trafficked and used on the farms. We have it manifest itself through commercial sexual exploitation of whether it is adults or victims or children. We have it manifest itself through forced labor, and here we have the street begging, which we have seen, and a good example are the Karuma children who are forced to beg for the purpose of one person benefiting. We have it manifest through,
is that the fact?
Yes, there are people who are benefiting from that. We have also those who are recruited into armed conflict. They're not wanting. A good example are those children and adults who were recruited by Kony. During that time, he was trafficking persons. He was forcing them into armed conflict, into fighting and all that. Then we have also, for the purpose, the forced labor, you also have the sugarcane plantations, the tea plantations, making people work in there when they're being exploited.
What do you think are the causes, the main factors that we look at in as far as upholding this vice in Uganda? We'll first look at Uganda because the proximity and how we are touched as people in a country. What are those factors that have kept this thing standing?
Yeah, let me first start by saying that this vice does not discriminate. This crime does not discriminate. It's not only for the poor. It's a vice or it's a crime that can happen to anyone. Even you can be trafficked. Yes, anyone, even a person with a good job can be easily trafficked, because you see, the way the recruitment, the grooming and the preparation of a person, it doesn't come directly and say, look, I'm trafficking you, come and we go. It is an enticement. It's an encouraging situation. They're taking advantage of the fact that you are in desperate need of something. So the reason why I started by that is because I'm going to tell you that people in a poverty situation are affected, and it is a pull factor. But even the rich who are trying to look for a better life out of the country can easily be trafficked for other jobs, for odd jobs, and when they go through that odd job, they end up finding that the job they applied for is not the one that they're actually going into doing.
That also is trafficking.
Yes, that also is trafficking. We have had people who have been recruited to go as teachers, but when they reach there, they're instead used as prostitutes. That is trafficking. We have people who have gone out for jobs, but when they reach there, their kidneys, their lungs, their body parts are actually taken out. That is trafficking for organ harvesting, and there are quite a number of other reasons. So you have also the reason is the lack of knowledge, the lack of understanding of how this crime manifests itself. How is it manifesting? What are the trends? The trends keep on changing. Today they're going to use this, tomorrow they're going to use the other. And that's why you see even during this COVID period, we had a lot of exposure to phones, you know, we had a lot of engagement with media. And this year's theme of World Trafficking Against Persons is about the use of technology. Is it a pro or is it a con? And we, from the COVID situation, we have seen that grooming, recruitment of victims has been done online. So you also have the exposure to online. And now you see when I talk about that, does a person in poverty have the internet access and the smartphones or anything? You'll find those are mainly the rich people, the well-to-do people in the urban areas. And so that's why I'm saying that the reasons vary, and it depends on what advantage point the traffickers, the perpetrators, are going to take over an individual.
Let's talk about child trafficking itself.
Yes.
What is it like? You see, we had looked at the picture in general of trafficking in persons. How big is it a problem in as far as children are concerned? Still, domestically.
Yes. The situation that we are seeing right now is that of the total arrests and engagement internally, because we have what we call internal child trafficking, and then we have cross-border, transnational cross-border trafficking. And internal trafficking, we find that 85% of the cases reported or investigated and prosecuted by the police and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution are showing us that over 80% of those cases are child-related.
How are they trafficked? Like, what happens? You said there are a number of things that we didn't know was trafficking, and it is actually trafficking. So what are those things that happen to children that are looked at as
a trafficking case?
They are being trafficked.
So we have, and I'll not start in any order, but we have what we call the child marriage. Child marriage is also a part of trafficking in persons.
How?
Because you see, at the point there is recruitment, where a girl is recruited to and being told that you're going to get married to somebody who is above, who is way older than the person. And then they organize a thing. There is exchange of money, because there's bride prices, everything. There's exchange of money or gifts or anything. And then at the end, the reason is that the person is going to sexually exploit the girl. The girl doesn't have a say over that whole thing. And let me just point out that when you talk about child trafficking, consent of the victim does not matter.
Why does consent not matter?
Because a child is a child. They don't give consent to anything. They're supposed to be protected. Consent doesn't matter. Even if a child says yes, it doesn't matter. A child is a child. And a child, by the law of Uganda, is protected to being a child. And also remember that according to our constitution, marriage is already defined as persons who are above 18 that consent to get married, not below 18. And our definition of a child is 17 and below is a child. Then you have FGM, female genital mutilation. That is also a form of trafficking. A girl is trafficked into another area and they're cut, and they're exploiting them by cutting them for their purpose, their own pleasure, and then they bring the child back. That is also part of exploitation. Trafficking. Then you have forced labor, and I've given you already example of forced begging that manifests in now many of our cities. And then you also have the labor, the child labor, in terms of working in the sugarcane plantations, in the tea plantations, in the rice plantations, coffee, cotton, and in the mining sector, where the children are taken advantage of. The trafficking also manifests itself there. The other last form of trafficking that comes in very prominent is domestic servitude, where we are seeing very many people, including the high-end areas. Even yourself, you might be a victim of it, or you have seen your neighbors.
What is that?
Which is domestic servitude, where young girls are brought from the villages on the basis of they are going to give them education in the city, or they are going to give them good employment, and they are brought for the purpose of making them housemaids, house girls, and the other forms of exploitation. And when they're in there, they're then also sexually further abused. And then we also have the last I can also throw out there is commercial sexual exploitation in the bars, in the brothels, and in the disco, in the nightclubs, the Chimasuro clubs, where young girls are recruited, are paid, and are exposed sexually to victims, to perpetrators.
In that case, what do you think are the factors that facilitate trafficking among children in our Ugandan community?
The first factor is the degradation of our parenting systems as a country. We are seeing more and more that as parents, we are letting go of our duty. We are handing over the duty to the housemates, to the different other persons, and are not keeping our role as parents and playing the key role. The second is, in Africa, in Uganda, children are seen as a source of income. That mentality of saying that, leave me, let me produce my children, they're supposed to help me and keep me going. You find that they will quickly let the child not be in school and let the child go and look for employment so that their family can benefit from it. That is not how it should be. The child should be in school and the parents should be the ones fending and looking for their livelihood. But we have turned it the other way around. 3, the poverty levels, the situation of poverty. It cannot go without saying that the higher the level of poverty we have in the country, the more vulnerable people are to being exposed, to being trafficked out of the country, and even internally, because people prey on the vulnerability of a person.
You talked about poverty.
Yes.
So, do we have hope of ending trafficking in countries like Uganda and other African countries and other areas of the world, parts of the world where poverty is still that biting? Where poverty is still biting, is there a dream of seeing an end to this problem? Because actually, when you talk of early marriages, you will see that it's poverty that connects to
poverty,
such a mindset.
culture. Yes.
When you talk of looking for what to do at an early age, still poverty comes in, and mindset, and parents looking at children as
a source of
investments.
Yeah.
Still, it is poverty that connects with mindset to bring that. So, do you see it coming to an end in parts of the world where poverty is still standing strong?
If poverty continues to persist, we see people still being vulnerable. And the more people are vulnerable and exposed, it becomes easy for the perpetrators to take advantage of them. So, is it possible? Yes, it is very possible. One, I see government has made its attempts to see how to dwell and arrest the issue. I mean, they will tell you they have the parish development model where the most vulnerable in the community are empowered financially to grow. That is one of their efforts. They will tell you about the livelihood support they've given, the youth livelihood, and all these other angles that are supposed to be given. It is very possible if we are able to address the key push factors. The key push factors. 1, do children have where to go to school? We're talking about child trafficking. The places which we see are predominantly having many children being exploited are places where the service of education is very low. Can we have enough schools to ensure that all children are moving into the schools and are part of the schools? Can we ensure that 2, the services are readily available for the persons in the area? Some of the reasons why they move is because they're trying to look for better care and attention. Then when they go to the different countries for the surgery, they come back with one organ less, because somebody has taken advantage of that. So we need the services nearer. 3, the other push factor is the peace and stability. And I think therefore Uganda, we enjoy at least a good amount of peace and stability. Because remember that when children, even there are victims who are refugees those who are trafficked, as a result, they come as unaccompanied children from the war-torn areas, and then perpetrators take advantage and take these children and then traffic them out of the country or in country and use them or exploit them for their own selfish purposes. It is possible also if the last one, if we all work together. This is a crime that cannot be dealt with only by government. This is a crime that needs all of us to join our hands and engage. One, as community members, because we are each other's watchdogs. We know what is happening in the community. Two, because this crime affects anyone and everyone is one way affected, because we have relatives, we have persons who are being taken advantage of, and we are the watchdogs.
What do you think has delayed that? If it's really possible, what do you think are those kind of situations or factors that are holding us back to see that? Because the schools are here. Every community at least has a school, no matter the distance. Why do you think parents still giving their daughters to be housemaids?
Well,
as early as 12 years. Why do you think parents still yearn to have their children go to countries where they get problems you have mentioned? Why would we still see children born by people standing on the streets to beg for a coin?
Again, one of the key things that we need to remember is that some people are trying to take advantage and make it a commercial purpose. If our parenting skills are strong, if we get back to the right parenting, and when you asked and said, why isn't it happening? It's because, again, it will go back to the fact that parenting has degraded. The role of parenting has been handed over to the housemaids. It has been handed over to the government. It has been, it is not my responsibility. The second one is the fact that the children themselves are not finding protection. They're not finding a heaven. They're not finding a place of safety for them to grow and also mature. But in terms of ensuring that we have behavior change, that will deal with the part on the parents quickly handing over their children, behavior change. Two, follow up and full implementation of the laws. We do know that we have good laws and we have good policies, because when you talk about trafficking in persons, we have the National Action Plan on how we intend to implement the law. But we also have a challenge of how do we finance this and make it perfect. The implementation, the financing and implementation is one of the biggest gaps that we have. And we need to invest more to be able to protect, have good systems in place that can be able to detect, follow up, and continue to investigate and bring to justice the perpetrators.
Mindset has always been part of our problems.
Yes.
In this area of trafficking of persons, especially children, how can mindset be handled?
You see, when you're dealing with communities,
because it is a gap itself.
Yeah. When you're dealing with communities and societies and different societies, when you're going in to engage them, the first thing you should know is that what will work for Buganda may not work for Busoga. What will work for Busoga may not work for Lira, Gulu, Arua. The situations are different, the societies are different, the cultures are different.
And they perceive information differently.
Yes. And you will end up finding that the Basoga will quickly grab on because probably they have some traits that are very strong in that area. You'll find others are saying, why are you telling us to change our culture completely? Are you trying to tell me I should stop cutting, doing FGM? Who told you? This is my culture. We have been doing it for forever. It is harder for them to embrace that change. So it needs to be tailor-made, and this is what makes it expensive. It needs to be tailor-made for the community and the society where you're going to engage. That is the best way for us to engage on the matter and for us to ensure that there is good behavior change. So it's not a one cut across behavior change program that will come in. It has to be one that is tailor-made for the different rich cultures that Uganda.
Can you just give an example?
I'll give you an example of, I know one of our member organizations that is implementing programs, 1, 2, 3 organizations that are implementing programs in Karamoja to end trafficking in Karamoja. And I do know that the first key issue was to get the cultural leaders to accept that this crime is wrong. And the cultural leaders had the perception that the LC5 chairperson then, who was the champion in the district to end child trafficking, was just trying to refuse their children to go and enjoy life in Kampala. He actually had to get those leaders, bring them to Kampala, show them where the children are, show them what the children are doing, and then the leader said, no, that is a shame to us. That is not how we should be. And then the cultural leaders turned themselves, and they're the ones now who started campaigning. By the time, as we talk right now, it is a process that every village has to account for the children who have disappeared. You see, the first mindset was, why are you stopping our people from migrating?
It is also our city.
It's also our city. We're also citizens. We, according to the migration law, we can migrate and settle anywhere.
Be anywhere.
But them understanding that the purpose was that these children are exposed, they're not protected, and are being used and are taken advantage of, helped them change their mindset, and they have now become the persons who are promoting that children should stay and instead be taken to schools. So they end up changing that mindset. So that worked there. You will not find that it will not work in an area where they do not have cultural institutions.
Because even the factors that end up bringing children wherever are different.
Or you'll find that in that area where you're going to do your operation, the trafficking is not, because some people think that for trafficking you have to move from here to Dubai and you're trafficked, or from Kampala to Mukono and then you're trafficked. Sometimes trafficking happens within, and you'll find, like I've said, child labor. The children who are pushed into labor. You'll find that the area where you're going, what you're dealing with is not a cross-regional trafficking. It's an internal in the internal. It's happening in that district. It's happening in that area. So you need to devise a behavior change for that area.
Thank you so much, Mr. Omara. We're going to take a very short break. But on return, we'll look at the laws that we have in Uganda. Then an international picture about this problem. And then, what exactly you think could be the direct solutions to the problem? To you watching us, you're watching the best program, because the issues that he has actually brought out as the real meaning of child or persons trafficking have almost happened in all our families. So how do we end this? Can it be solved anyway? Keep it with us. Thank you so much for watching.
Nivana wafe twenywele, nivana wafe twenywele, nivana wafe tunyola. Nivana wafe tunyola. For more goals, kumara kenyota.
Nirvana packaged drinking water is a product of Crown Beverages Limited, makers of Pepsi products. That's life. That's Nirvana.
I remember the lockdown, when the streets were empty and our lives disrupted, when businesses closed and our livelihoods hung in the balance. Hospitals were full. We lost loved ones, jobs, and hope. Our children couldn't study anymore. We cannot let this happen again. We should not go back. Get fully vaccinated against COVID-19 and join the millions of Ugandans who are already vaccinated.
UBC One-on-One, thank you so much for watching and welcome back from the break. We are discussing issues to do with human trafficking of persons, and we are focusing so much on the direction of children. And we are discussing with Mr. Damon Wamara. He is the Executive Director of the Uganda Child Rights NGO Network. We are discussing issues to do with trafficking of persons as we move towards the commemoration of the day of the World Day Against Trafficking in Persons. Welcome back from the break, sir.
Thank you very much.
What do the laws in Uganda say about trafficking? And actually, let me put these two together. And how much success have we registered in terms of legally stopping this vice?
If you don't mind, I'll bring right from the international spectrum and then bring into the Uganda. First of all, at international level, the laws under the Human Rights Council, we have what we call the Palermo Protocol. The Palermo Protocol is a protocol that was done in Palermo, where the member states of the United Nations agreed that they will do everything possible to ensure that their citizens are protected from trafficking in persons. It's actually from that Palermo Protocol that Uganda then comes up with the prevention the prohibition and the prevention of the human trafficking and the Human Trafficking Act, Trafficking in Persons Act 2009. And also from the Palermo Protocol, we have for the children's area, we have what we call the United Nations Charter on the Rights of the Child, and then we have the African Charter on the Rights and the Welfare of the Child. And in both these conventions, these charters, the convention and charter, it's clearly stated that the member states are supposed to ensure that, one, they protect the victims. They also ensure that, two, that the perpetrators are brought to justice. And they have articles embedded in there that are around combating trafficking in persons, especially for the children, for the two conventions. Now, in Uganda, like I've said, there's the Prevention of the Trafficking in Persons Act that was enacted in 2009, and that is the main act on this issue of trafficking in persons. But when it comes to concerning issues of children, we have also the Children's Act as amended 2016, which also clearly states its position on trafficking in persons, specifically for children, and calls for the life sentence of children for those perpetrators who traffic children. As it's regarded as aggravated trafficking in persons. We have also the most recent law, which is the prohibition and prevention of the Human Sacrifice Act 2021, which was just passed with the last parliament, the 10th parliament, in the last 10th parliament. And this protects those who are those children who are end up being victims of human sacrifice. It protects them, and it also creates a crime that is a penalty that is separate for such persons. We have, of course, all of these then come with their regulations, which also give guidance on that. We have policies. We have an action plan on combating trafficking in persons, which is already effective and was launched in 2020 on World Day Against Trafficking in Persons 2020. These are some of the laws that we have. And then we have districts that have then bylaws that are also in the area of protecting. We have the Kampala City Council Child Protection Ordinance that we all know was saying if you're giving money to children on the streets, you are facilitating trafficking.
At that very point, Mr. Omar, that very ordinance,
yes,
we still see people giving money to these children because out of compassion, somebody sees a starving child, he or she is asking for just a coin and he has it, they give. So can these laws really help to stop the problem? Why have they not?
The laws are there to create the environment. The laws are there to create the penalties. Yes? The laws alone, without the implementation of the laws, without the practicability of the laws, becomes a good law on the shelf. Hence why I had said earlier on that we have good laws, we have good policies, we only lack the implementation.
Now, that's now another problem.
that is the bigger problem. And for me, the bigger problem is the financing of these laws and the financing of the implementation of the laws. So we have gone through the formation of the law. It is there. But for it to be actualized, one, even as citizens are supposed to implement the law, and we're not implementing it. The mere fact that you're seeing that people are still giving, even us are not implementing the law. Leave those who are policing the law. Because what you're now talking about is why aren't they arresting those people? Those are policing the law. But us as citizens, how are we taking the law and implementing it and realizing that, oh, there's a reason they're refusing us to give money. Find out why. If you actually want to give money, we don't want to kill that good burden. We don't think that it is bad.
So
to be a
between the side that has to implement,
yes,
and those that have to police,
yes,
who do you think is not playing their role right?
Both of us are not playing our roles right. The ones who are implementing and the ones who are policing. One, the policing needs the financing. And they need to also move from giving us the excuse of financing. And with the little they have, what can they do? Can we have some good cases where they have seen? I know Kampala City Council will tell us and inform us that they're using the law, that ordinance, to go and rescue children and to bring to court the perpetrators. I know they would give us that as one of the reasons, one of the ways they're implementing it. But also us. How are we creating, how are we letting people know that, look, let's stop giving money? Because that same ordinance says that if persons want to contribute to the well-being of these children, they request that they go to the city council. City council will share with them who partners with them in organ NGOs, and they can go to those NGOs that are accredited by the NGO board and the city council, and they can give their support through there and hold those people accountable. Because when you give the child the money, the child gives it to somebody else. The child is not benefiting.
Okay.
And another person will tell you the current situation in Karamoja is also not desirable for the child. And so you'll find that some of our stories that UBC and all the other news channels portray of Karamoja gives people that comfort. It gives people that, heart of, let us give. They're here because where they are coming from is bad. So we need to ensure that we help people understand that you can support them in a better way. What you're doing now is you're facilitating a crime. You're not supporting them. You're facilitating a crime.
You looked at the children on the streets, but you talked about other forms of trafficking.
The children,
the house help in people's houses, the young girls in such.
And the police cannot go to the houses, all the homes.
Exactly. So
the neighbor. That's why I'm saying that it's a collective. This crime here cannot be handled by one. So when you're talking about trafficking persons, what we start with, I should have actually started with this. We have a 4P. With the 4 Ps. The first P is protection.
Okay.
And protection is, this is where we said the first one is protection because the first thing is prevention is better than cure. So prevention is created, sensitization, it is about putting laws in place so that the laws can protect persons before they're exploited. You know, all those are the prevention, sensitization and all that. What we're doing today, we're trying to create prevention. We're preventing. So we fall under the P of prevention, what we're doing right now. Then we have the P of prosecution. Protection. Protection comes into play that once a person has already been exposed and is already being trafficked and is already in exploitation position, they are withdrawn and they are protected. And protection includes rehabilitation, it includes psychosocial support, it includes reintegration back into the community. The third P is prosecution. Even though we are protecting, even if we're prevented, we are protecting, the perpetrators still need to be brought to book. And this is where prosecution happens. And the prosecution is mainly done by police and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, where they do joint investigations so that they can have successful cases. And we're very proud of our police and Director of Public Prosecutions because we have seen an increase. Over 1,000 cases from 2020 have been filed.
In fact, I wanted to ask you, where do we report such cases?
There are various places we can report these cases. The first one that I would stand out for as a child rights organization is Soroti 116. Soroti 116 is a free toll call line where you can call and report any case of violation or any case of exploitation of a child. Soroti has police there. They will push it to the different action centers that will investigate and bring it to check. 2, we have the 911, 999, 999, calling police. Police will immediately direct that case to there's a whole department on trafficking in persons. There's a whole department on trafficking in persons, which would still support the investigations and follow-up of such cases. So those are the 2 quick ones that I'll tell you you can call. If you are exposed and you're out of the country, the first place you would call is our embassy or our High Commission, because they have people who would be able to respond to issues around trafficking in persons.
What would be the best way to touch mindset as a challenge? Because it is at the center of mixing all the factors that facilitate the problem to persist.
First of all, I think one of the key things that we are seeing between you and I is that the conversation we are having continuous, the partnership. You can't be sure the last P of the 4 is partnership. The partnership we're having now with you, the media, the partnership we have with the district people, the CDOs, the community development officers, and all those other people, the partnership we have is creating awareness, is also creating change of mindset. So we need to continue doing what we are doing. Let's continue to talk. Let's continue to partner. Let's continue to look for the spaces where we can create more awareness about this crime, how it manifests, and because the trends change, we also need to keep updating people on what are the new trends. How is it manifesting today? Like the last time, like we're saying now, before COVID, the recruitment was not online. Now COVID has happened, people have been exposed to phones, Zoom calls, different things, looking for scholarships, people have been out of school, people lost their jobs, and the jobs now come up and people are running to be teachers, and through the non-formal ways, and they end up becoming victims.
In a situation where we have a lot of poverty. You see, this end part, I want us to look at solutions. What would be your message to parents and the young people in our country? Because you said, in your definition, you said even if you consent, sometimes it doesn't matter. You're being trafficked.
Yeah.
So what message would you have to the young people and the parents out there?
I'll start with the parents and tell the parents that 1, it is not the child's duty to take care of you. It is your duty as a parent to take care of the child. That is the first thing. Second, it is not the child's duty to ensure that, your investment in the child today, when they are a child, is the actual investment you will have in the future, because the child will be able to then take care of you in the near future. To the youth or to the young people, 1, you can report. You have a right to life. If you're a child, you have a right to education. You're supposed to be in school. Go and report to your teachers. You don't even need, you see, for the children, you don't even need to go to police all the time. Police is one of the areas. But you have your teachers at school. You have your different persons nearest to you. The LC2 chairperson, remember the vice chairperson of all local councils is the chairperson for the children's committee, and the child protection systems that are in the community. Report to those child protection systems. They can be able to offer you protection. When it comes to the government, we need skills empowerment. We need to empower our youth. We need to empower the key people in our community. We need more technical schools, skilling centers. The education system should be one that empowers people to be self-reliant and be patient. Don't want a lot of money so quickly. Because the thing is, people have even a job. This crime is funny. People have even a job. But because they've been told dollars, that is enough. Somewhere. They have told them dollars, they have told them aeroplane. Those are 2 words that are enough that will convince them that life is better the other side.
3 words actually: airport, aeroplane, dollars.
But not all that glitters is gold.
How are we going to inculcate that to sink into the minds of our young people?
1, we need government to have more skilling centers so that the people can be skilled and the skilling should be relevant to the emerging issues that we have around, so that when they're finished skilling, they are quickly taken up into the system of what availability is there. 2, for the youth, I don't even know how to say this. Patience is not their virtue, but yet it is a virtue. It is important to be patient. Getting quick money is not always the answer. And east or west, home is best. Not all that you'll go out there. There are different situations out there. Before you go, use the right channels. One of the best ways, by the way, to do this, for those who are not children, for those who are youth, who are working age, is go through the legalized recruitment agencies. And I know people are going to tell me that some of them are trafficking. That is okay. It is easier to handle them because we know who they are compared to the ones who we don't know. You understand? I can hold you accountable as UBC because I know you're UBC. But I cannot hold another TV station that we don't know exists where. Doesn't have an address, doesn't have a registered thing. It's easier for us to engage. And when I say us, I mean as Ugandans, even the government, to engage and hold accountable UBC or the recruitment agency. UBC is not a recruitment, but that recruitment agency. It's easier to hold them accountable and to bring them to book. And we have somebody where we have a place where to start. When you go without the legal system, it is hard. It is very hard.
Okay.
And most of the most complicated cases we have seen around are those who have not gone through the regulated agencies.
We have seen parents, a gap of parents not playing their roles right.
Parenting, yes.
Then some bit of the government where the implementation of the policing also not being perfect.
And financing
exactly
of the laws.
Civil society. You so much do your things in an elitist manner that at the end of the day people don't get the information they're supposed to get from you. You tend to have the information, but because of the elitism in you, it doesn't trickle down to the grassroots man and woman who would really need it. How are we going to solve that?
The quickest way to solve it is give us financing. We'll take the information down.
Really?
Yes, because you see, one of the reasons why we are also limited in being able to sensitize and do all that is the financing. We have seen a decrease right now as we talk. We have seen a decrease, and I don't want to join the conversation of Ukraine war and all that, but we have actually seen a decrease of funding towards activities that go right to the grassroots. And we have had to, many of our organizations have had to have a lot of cutbacks on the activities that they do. But two, we also believe that as civil society, we are coming, and government has told us this, we are coming to only supplement what government is doing, right? So if we're supplementing what government is doing, our goal should then be to ensure that government is doing what they should be doing. And so what we are embracing more and more is working alongside government and pushing government. I'll tell you, the technocrats actually want to do something. They are actually doing something. They are limited with financing, they're limited with all that, and that's why we come out to say, please government, please parliament, allocate more resources to the issues that are pertaining and need to be addressed widely. We have talked about them: poverty, skilling, employment, and when we talk about employment, let's not talk about employment and 300,000. Our economy can you get even a house of 300,000? It is not possible. So when we talk of employment, we also talk about good pay, because those should be then the pull factor. Then the push factors will be dealing with the push factors. The pull factors are beyond us; they're beyond the country of Uganda, and now that is why we should hold Ministry of Foreign Affairs. That's why we should hold the president and ask the president to then go and engage on our behalf.
Tell us about this day, the 30th of July.
Probably before I tell you about the day, I can also mention to you that even at regional level, at civil society, we are looking for the forums whereby we know that some of the engagements we're having, we cannot, this issue is cross-border, we cannot handle it alone. And what we have seen is that we need to partner with other member states.
Okay.
And we are taking advantage of the East Africa community. As UCRNN, we have the Eastern Africa, which engages with the African Union. We're also engaging with the IGAD, and I think our government has done very good there because they have engaged on migration protocols. Because Uganda going to negotiate alone, they'll push us down. But if we are a collection of states going to say, if you want our citizens to come,
this is our voice.
This is the condition. that, because if you say Uganda, this, they'll jump Uganda and go to Somalia. They'll jump Uganda and go to Kenya. But since it is clear that all the member states of IGAD have said, if you want our employers, our citizens, this is the price. This is the condition. It gives us a stronger bid. And I congratulate the government for pushing that immigration policy protocol to come into place. So those are some of the key things now as civil society we are happy to be a part of and to push to happen at the East Africa level, at the EU level, and then also with the other RECs like IGAD.
Okay. Tell us about the day, the 30th of July, the World Day Against Trafficking in Humans.
This year, the World Day Against Trafficking in Persons will be on Saturday the 30th of July, and we'll be joining the whole world as we commemorate. Why we are commemorating is because we are not celebrating the crime exists. We are marking that we are celebrating the people who have gone through it and have succeeded. You know, the victims who are now back into their communities and are fitting. And we are also trying to come together to create more awareness about this crime. And the 30th of July will be commemorated at Entebbe International Airport. Okay. Why Entebbe International Airport? It is the entry and the exit of the country. But also, it makes a statement for us because we're working together with Entebbe, the Uganda Civil Aviation Authority, and they're running a campaign. They're going to start a campaign on ensuring and making sure that Entebbe Airport is a traffic-free zone. In other words, they're not going to entertain anyone trying to use the airport as a place to take people to be victims. And for us, I think we need to congratulate the government, we need to congratulate UCAA for accepting to do that. And the other reason is, I think you've been seeing on Facebook and all these other channels, the immigration at the airport has refused me to go. Who do they think they are? I'm allowed to migrate, I'm allowed. But if they have seen red stars, you're going, you don't have a job offer. No, we're not allowing you to migrate. It is their role to ensure that you migrate safely. So we want them to be able to create awareness and know that the airport is doing what they're doing to ensure that you are not trafficked.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wamara, the Executive Director of the Uganda Children's Rights NGO Network. What do you do generally as we wind up?
We are a child rights network, as you've said, and we have over 150 member organizations that are a part of us from all over the country. We come together to have a collective advocacy voices, and we're able to share to advocate for the rights of the children in our country. And we also do work through our member organizations. We are not a service delivery, but we do work through our member organizations across the country. They bring the information, and we take the information to the national level. We are implementing currently two projects. One is on access to justice for children, and this is supported by Freedom House and USAID, and through this we are able to have promote children's rights to access to justice, especially around the area of commercial sexual exploitation. Okay. And from there we're able to identify what key forms of exploitation, which are also some cases trafficking, are able to do. The second is still on safeguarding, on what are the systems we're having in place. You've seen all these cases of children escaping from school and going to Entebbe town, and the beating of the children, the kicking of the children. What are the safeguarding directions in schools? The children are dying and committing suicide, they're jumping from the wall. What are the safeguarding procedures we're having in places? And those are the two projects we're doing, and the second project is in support from Eric's Foundation.
Okay. We thank you so much for the information we have shared.
Thank you. Thank you for
all the time. We wish you the best in as far as commemoration for the 30th of July is concerned.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes. For you watching, that is all we had for you this evening. We have shared a lot. So, do you have a maid in your house? How did you get that girl? Have you sent anyone outside the country to work? Do you have any child working for you? You are trafficking someone. That is according to the information we have gathered here.
Possibly.
This evening. We thank you so much for watching. My name is Michael Jordan Lukomwa with Davis Kamukama and the whole team. Wish you the best of the evening. Bye-bye.
This week on UBC.
It's the freak himself, DJ Santos, the problem.
Oh my God!
So run back to the studio, Chimney Records.
From the blues to the streets of Africa, DJ Santos. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at DJ Santos.
Can you play that song? Set the mood for me.
Hallelujah, let's go! Let's go!
This weekend on UBC.
Kumi na babiri dasini namba